Okay, hello, greetings and welcome everyone. So this video we're going to cover a few topics. We're going to look at the concept of purification of chi. We're going to look at the concept of mindfulness, and we're going to look at the mechanisms of ascension. So when a person engages in spiritual practice, all systems have some fundamental threads that connect them together, and different systems approach this in different ways. Now, in Hermetics and Buddhism, you start with the principle of mindfulness, and so basic metaphysics 101, you have thoughts in your awareness. The observing part of your mind touches the thoughts, and the moment that consciousness engages thought, it creates a story. It will gather other similar thoughts and move that story from a mental state into an astral or emotional state. So when your mind engages a thought, it becomes a feeling. From this feeling state, the story gets momentum, and it moves into a desire for action, to act upon the feeling. So it goes, consciousness touches thought, thought becomes feeling, and feeling becomes action. Now from this action stage, if one chooses to repeat an action, the energy moves from the physical back up to the astral and becomes an unconscious habit. And this unconscious habit is what basically establishes the state of the chi of your body. The astral energy of your body is your chi. So to purify the chi, Buddhism, Hermetics, and many other spiritual systems uses different concepts of mindfulness. You become sensitive to your thinking processes, you regulate them. You become sensitive to your feeling processes, you regulate them. You become sensitive to your actions, and you regulate them. And this is how the chi is purified. Now, the more heavy religious systems like Christianity and so forth will have things like 10 commandments. Buddhism will have things like precepts. Taoism will have, basic codes of conduct. There's a fundamental idea of, in common sense, and improving the quality of how you think, feel, and act. Not only improves the quality of you, but your family, your environment, your community, and so forth, to raise the frequency, raise the quality of your life. Now, everybody who's had children gets this unconscious sense of to be better for your kids, be better for the next generation. So this act of being better for the next generation, you'll find that this fundamental concept needs to be in place. Regulate the thoughts, regulate the feelings, regulate the actions. This controls the subconscious behaviors and redefines what those subconscious behaviors are. This purifies the chi. Now, if we go further into this, in Hermetics we look at the mental and astral matrix. This is two matrices of many, and these matrices are magnetic substance which bind things together. Your consciousness and your thought processes are bound to your astral and physical body through a mental and astral matrix, a magnetic substance which holds your spirit in the body. Now, this concept of matrices, once you grasp it and you recognize it's just a form of magnetism, you can increase and decrease the magnetism of those matrices to allow the mind to expand and allow the mind to contract, engage, and generate. This control of the matrices is the essential mechanism of ascension. Now, when you're doing vital breathing, building the ball, a few minutes work, and you can feel vital energy, and then you relax that vital energy into your own center of balance, you'll notice your center of balance expands. You feel like your mind's occupying more state while being balanced. So people who train internal martial arts, this is a really valuable basic skill. Vital breathe into your body, vital breathe into the space around you, and you feel you have more cohesion and connection to that space, and therefore more balance. It also allows you to control the balance of others. If, let's say, you're teaching a class and you're a martial arts teacher and someone's knee is out of alignment, you put your mind into the correct position where their knee should be, and you relax vital energy in, and you relax them into the correct position. Now, as you relax them into the correct position, your mind mentally transfers to their mind, your feeling of energy of correctness transfers into them, and then vitally you animate that energy to make the correction. Now, if the person's unconsciously very stubborn and doesn't want to make that correction, you can move your awareness more strongly, or you can just point at the area where the correction needs to happen, and you'll find that as soon as the person knows, let's say you're looking at the knee out of alignment, they'll go, oh, correct it, but they won't correct it to where they thought it should be. They'll unconsciously correct it to where you placed it energetically. So this is where using internal energy for teaching comes in very, very handy. And when you're doing this, you'll notice there's a spectrum, or a curve of people who are unconsciously stubborn. I did it my way. And there's people who just unconsciously are very open to learning, open to receiving new things, and they'll just automatically adjust to the correct position without you having to verbalize anything. And this skill comes from understanding the vital energy, mental transference skills, the learning how to slow everything down for the astral, understanding the matrices of how to enter their system and place information in. This is all covered in the Initiation to Hermetics text. Now, as we go further into this, what is ascension? Well, when you create an equanimity within the mental matrix, the mind is allowed to occupy more space. It doesn't have this clinging to the astral and physical body. So you uncling, you release, by demagnetizing the matrices. You soften the astral matrix and you neutralize the mental matrix. Now, normally your mental matrix neutralizes when you fall asleep at night. That's where the consciousness is released of the body, and you can let go and your body goes into healing mode. It processes all the data for the day, and most of your internal healing, growing, processing and so forth happens in this state. When you wake up in the morning, the matrix is switched back on, the mental matrix grips you, the astral matrix grips you, and you wake up. And this cycle continues. Now, you'll find that as you develop this skill of increasing and decreasing your own mental astral matrix, you can also increase and decrease other people's mental astral matrix. So you demagnetize your mental matrix so that your mind occupies the room that you're resting within, and then you begin vital breathing and energizing that room with vitality. The information that you put into that vitality might be equanimity, harmony, and then you commence your class, people walk into the room, they go, oh, I feel so relaxed in here, I feel so calm, because they absorb that equanimity, that peacefulness you put into the room. And this puts them in a state in which they can vital breathe more efficiently, and they can do the practice which you're about to teach. Now, you'll find that by simply expanding your awareness to fill the room and vital breathing into it and becoming very proficient at that one skill, you'll become a better teacher. So now we've learned how to get our mental body to move from this physical space to an entire room. From there, we can keep expanding outwards and releasing the magnetism of the mental matrix to occupy more space. And if, let's say, you're a Tai Chi practitioner, you'll have this idea that the mind should reach the horizon, where you're relaxing your awareness out, And as you relax your awareness out to the horizon, you're softening your mental space, you're softening your astral space, and you're feathering off your physical space as well, so that your energy expands. What this does is it develops the potential for heightened listening energy, heightened sensitivity. So if you do this and you touch someone in that state without contracting to their space but remaining open, you'll be more sensitive to more information. This is one of the methods for developing listening energy. It's an essential key. Now, let's continue. In relation to ascension, the astral matrix can be fully regulated by releasing time. How do you release time? As you breathe, you'll notice that your body, your physical body, your consciousness, your astral body, is locked in to the time and space of this physical world. So to release yourself of that, you slow everything down. You breathe in a bit slower, you breathe out slower. You slow the vital energy down. As you release time and slowing everything down breath after breath, the vital energy thickens as you enter the astral. It becomes very slow and very thick. This is why Tai Chi is done so slowly, because if you're sinking the Chi and sinking your consciousness into the astral, then you'll find that there's an automatic dropping of the hanging of the muscles, the opening of the joints, and the energy becomes so slow and so deep that you end up in the astral chi body. So you just have to slow the energy down. This is why Tai Chi does such slow motions in the form, so that you can perform the skill. All right. Next aspect I want to look at is how you take this astral energy. You define, okay, we know in Hermetics that everything in the universe is mind substance. Everything that you practice in meditation, you're using your mind, you're observing the mind substance that's manifest in form in all these objects around you. It's all mind. You can't remove mind substance from form, otherwise it simply wouldn't exist. Now when we're in this astral state, you observe the feeling of the astral energy and you split it apart. Say, okay, there's this quality of form there. It's got a certain time continuum and it's got a certain mind substance in it. What you're most interested in the second transformation is to move the energy up into the mind substance. So how do we do this? We use a relaxation across the astral and mental matrix. We relax and release it, and we relax from form to mind. By releasing time and space together, you end up with a heightened mind substance, a strong mental quality. This heightened mind substance, oh, what a beautiful home. This heightened mind substance increases your concentration potential. You'll notice that when you concentrate, after doing this exercise, your mind's like a laser beam. It's very, very, very focused. So doing the first transformation, releasing time, second transformation, releasing space, you'll find that you can enter into a highly concentrated state much more easily. So they call this jhanic states. You can enter into jhana. Now, as you get a little bit deeper into this, you can concentrate this mental energy in focus on a meditation object for some Mahadi type work, or you can expand this mental space for Vipassana type work. You can use this accumulated mind substance to increase mindfulness, or use it to increase concentration. Either of these approaches are going to create an undercurrent we call akasha. Akasha is sensed as stillness. Now, whenever you increase concentration, you increase akasha. When you increase akasha, we feel more equanimity, more stillness. That's how it's reflected within our consciousness, within our experience, within our psyche. This reflection of consciousness having a stiller state is essentially the accumulation of akasha. Now, if we move our awareness from a meditation object to this stillness, to this accumulation of akasha, there is an infinity quality within it. There's a sense of timelessness within it. There's a sense of spacelessness within it. There's a sense of infinity underneath those two qualities. So we want to pay attention to this infinity. And as we pay attention to that infinity, we associate it to the act of pore breathing. So as you breathe in through the pores, you breathe in the feeling of infinity. As you breathe out through the pores, you breathe out the feeling of infinity, until your mind starts to equalize with this mind state. The next step from this equalizing with this mind state, the reason why we pore breathe it, is to increase our ability to neutralize the matrices, to release the mind. It gives depth of penetration. So that's a releasing tool. Neutralizes the matrices further, demagnetizing them. From there, we move on to the next stage, which is taking that frequency of the crown chakra, which is deep akasha, and opening the crown. Now, we can, through locality, simply put this infinity on the crown and accumulate there and let the awareness rise up. This gives us a sort of vibrational scale. In the physical body, you have the physical center of gravity. Astral body, you have the heart center of gravity. Mental body, center of the head, the monad point, center of the mental body. And then when you accumulate infinity through that line up through the crown, you have the akashic center of gravity, hand span above the crown. And your akashic body, or the underlying blueprint of you, so subtle but it's still connected to you, has a center of gravity. So this creates an alchemical pathway for energy to work from lower to higher, and for you to get a sensitivity as to what you're working with and the level that you're working on. You'll find that as you develop the skill of defining, I'm in the vital, I'm in the astral, I'm in the mental, I'm in akasha, or you're in light. Now the light has an underlying akashic infinity quality to it, but it's non-dual. When you're in the astral, you feel a deep sense of duality in form. When you're in the mental, it softens. And when you get up through the akasha, you reach a neutral state. And the akasha interacting with the essence of mind is a non-dual singular state. And this is what we're most interested in when working with the akasha and the essence of mind, which is light. Now, this is we can re-experience the Big Bang. And I do say re-experience in that as everyone is part of the original essence of creation, everyone's already experienced it. As the universe expanded and individualized itself in individuals, we forgot about that original expansion because we individualized ourselves and our memories and our attachments to our own identities rather than having a universal identity. So you'll find that by training these releases, you return back to source, you return back to Big Bang, you return back to original light, and you have those experiences. Now, some people will call this enlightenment, having that Big Bang experience. It's not nibbana, it's not enlightenment in the true Buddhist sense, but it is a universal mind experience, and it is re-experiencing the underlying principle of creation. So, you've worked akasha through the crown, you've invited white light, and many people use different methods of prayer for inviting this non-dual state. They have a concept of God there. No need to believe in God until you've had a direct experience with such an idea, because if you follow the mechanisms of release, they're still going to work independent of whether you believe in a God consciousness or not. So you're not dependent upon that for your ascension process. All you need to do is release time, release space, identify the infinity qualities underlying all matter and all consciousness, work with that, and invoke light. Now, from this white light state, we'll people discover fields of light. These fields of light are extremely subtle states of mind. There is a very, very mild vibration in these states. So it's not actually purely non-dual. If something became purely non-dual, it would exist outside of the whole nibbanic cycle. The samsaric cycle, and it would essentially be nibbana. But we call it non-dual because the vibratory state is so subtle that there's no samsaric force to push you to reincarnate once you equalize with non-dual light. You essentially have a choice of whether you wish to reincarnate or not once you've equalized with a non-dual state between incarnations. You have freedom. And in a body, you have a lot more options than outside of the body, because the laws of rhythm function differently. Now, these fields of light, you recognize these fields of light through vibrational resonance. The mind must resonate with something to experience something. It can't experience anything it doesn't have resonance with. So this means there's a light body which is experiencing that light field. So we have individual light bodies, like we have a mental body, an astral body, a physical body, that are able to experience those vibrational spaces. And as such, we move from body consciousness of the light to field consciousness, releasing space, and then releasing attachment to time, going to the underlying infinity, the subtle akashic God substance underneath that light. And then from there we are essentially releasing on that to move to the next level of light. So we have a light body, light field, the akashic infinity calling underneath it, and then once we pay attention to and equalize with it, so we own it through concentration, then we can release it through concentration. Without owning it, it's difficult to get to that more subtle level. So always look to equalize your concentration with any state so that you can ascend past it. And this is the mechanism of ascension. Okay, well, I've almost reached my destination. I hope this helps with questions that people have and on the ascension process and the mechanisms of ascension, and why the black and white mirror is important. Because if you're trapped by an astral quality, the mind cannot ascend. It will be bound by those astral qualities. So the purification of chi, the identification of black and white mirror, super important to identify those qualities and release yourself of them. And by doing so, the mind can raise higher and higher states of awareness. All right, thanks for your time, and see you on the next video.